Bear with me, I've just written something. Funnily enough, I did. I lived just up the road from the SCG, on Cook Road to be exact. And I'll never forget when I was younger, I saw Michael Slater drive in his red Ferrari. I couldn't believe my luck. I just saw a Test cricketer. And as a boy whose parents were barely scraping through and trying to provide for their kids in a little 2-bedroom apartment, I thought one day I'm going to be a Test cricketer. And one day I can drive whatever I want. Never did I think that God would grant me such a wish. I'm here to announce today that I'll be retiring from all international cricket after the SCG Test match. God, through cricket, has given me far more than I ever imagined. Sorry, this whatever's writing this is really just frustrating. I'm going to move this here. He's given me memories I'll carry forever, friendships that go well beyond the game, and lessons that shape me who I am off the field. But no career belongs to one person. I obviously had a lot of help. To my parents who are over there, thank you for your sacrifices that never made the highlights reel. That's you, Mum and Dad, Tarek and Fozia. The early mornings, the long drives, the beliefs in when the results weren't there. Mum, you knew plenty of those. When I used to come disappointed, sad, you always consoled me, and I'll never forget that. Dad, you always said that I would play for Australia one day. Even though sometimes I didn't believe in myself, you taught me values before ambition. You taught me to be humble, always respectful, and treat everyone as equals no matter what. And that grounded me through everything that followed. I hope I repaid your sacrifice in leaving everything behind in Pakistan to come to Australia to give us kids a better life. 88 Test matches, Dad, isn't that enough? Yeah. Okay. To my brothers, Arslan and Norman, I want to thank you for the countless hours you spent in the nets, the backyards, everything you did, even down the road here in Centennial Park, where you give me that token 5 minutes bat at the end of the day. Without your time and effort, I wouldn't be here, nor would I have my pull shot, because all you did was bump me. But you always instilled in me that my journey would be tougher than the other kids. And if I wanted to make it, that I had to work harder than everyone else, score more runs than the rest, and make sure that I don't give them any excuse not to pick me. I'll never forget those words, and you were 100% right. Rachie, my beloved wife, this journey has asked more of you than it's ever asked of me, particularly since you read everything that goes on in the press. The missed moments, the long stretches apart, the pressures that come with this life and taking care of the kids on your own. You carried our family so I could chase my dream, and I'll always be grateful for that. And don't worry, I know how you always remind me that all my international centuries came after I met you. You truly are one of my greatest blessings in life. You changed the path of my life, and you definitely changed the path of my career. And I thank Allah every day that I got to share this journey with you. I love you so much. To my kids, Aisha and Isla, you gave me perspective and reminded me of what really matters. Win or lose, everything I did out there, I hope one day that you'd be proud of what I achieved, but also what I was like as a human. I'll continue to buy you chippies and give you lots of lollies when Mum isn't looking, don't worry, because you know I'm a sucker for hugs and kisses. To Rachel's family, including John and Michelle, Rachel's parents, thank you for all your support and time spent over the last 10 years. I'm truly blessed to have such a great extended family. The fact that Rachel's brother and dad both love playing golf is just a bonus. And probably half the reason why I married you, Rachie. But I tell you what, next year's going to be a bad year to be a Titleist Pro V1 because I'm going to be playing lots of golf. And there's nothing you guys can say about it. To Bill Anderson, my friend and mentor, thank you for believing in me before the numbers did, for your honesty, for your patience, and your guidance in your path when things weren't clear. You helped shape my career, but also my character. To my teammates, coaches, support staff, it's been a privilege sharing dressing room with you. You make the hard days manageable and the good days unforgettable. Cricket is a team game, but more than that, it's a people game. And I've been incredibly lucky with the people I've gotten to be around. Along the way, I've learnt that not everything in life is in our control. I train my best, but then it's all up to Allah. And Allah is the best of planners. If He wasn't, I wouldn't be here right now. This game humbles you. It tests your patience, your resilience, and your character. And if you're lucky, it teaches you gratitude. Even on days that doesn't go your way, alhamdulillah always. I hope I've inspired many children along the way, particularly those who feel that they are different, those who feel that they don't belong, or those others tell that they will never make it. I felt all these things growing up and trying to be an Australian cricketer. But seeing is believing. And I'm here to tell you that you can do whatever you want. You just got to keep trying. Never let anyone convince you that you can't, because if they do convince you, then you never will. I'm a proud Muslim coloured boy from Pakistan who was told that he would never play for the Australian cricket team. Look at me now. And you can do the same. As I walk off for the last time, I do so with gratitude and peace, or as we say, salam. Grateful for the journey, the people, the lessons. Thank you for letting me live my dream and for sharing it with me. Happy to take any questions now.
Thanks, everyone. Any questions for Usman?
Usman, first of all, congratulations on your career. How long have you been thinking about retirement, and when did you finally come to that decision?
That's a good question. A while in some respects. I guess the most frustrating part for me was whether it was the media or past players who would always, particularly in the last 2 years, be attacking me about retiring. It felt like attacking. It was disappointing. I mean, I could have retired any time in the last 2 years. I was happy to. There was no issue. I was still playing well. I was still motivated. I think if I retired from international cricket, I still would have been playing cricket. Would have been playing Big Bash. It wasn't a motivation thing. But obviously, Andrew McDonald and George Bailey saw my value at opening, batting up the top. It's the hardest position in the team. And I kept putting myself out there for the team. I was like, sure. And even last year, where we got to Melbourne, I reckon, Melbourne. And I sat down with Andrew McDonald. We always have our little catch-ups. And I said to him, you know what, if at any stage right now, if you want me to retire, I will retire straight away. I have no issue. I'm not hanging on for myself. And that was the most annoying thing, because I felt people were coming at me, and I felt, you know, they were saying I was selfish for staying on, but I wasn't staying on for myself. I mean, Andrew McDonald not begged, but practically said, no, I want you to stay. We need you for Sri Lanka and the World Test Championship. I want you to stay on. And so I did. And so it was never totally about me. And I'm glad I did. I was the highest run scorer in Sri Lanka, and I rewarded him in lots of ways, but that was probably the most frustrating thing. So I've been thinking about it, not wholly, but for a while in a lot of respects. And so I guess moving into this series, I kind of had an inkling in my head that this would be the last series. I talked to Rachel about it a fair bit, and I knew this was a big chance. I didn't leave the door fully shut, because I knew there was a chance that I could play on. I know Andrew McDonald, even to right to the very end, when I told him a few days ago, I mean, he was still thinking about how I could get to India. So I'm glad I get to leave on my own terms with a little bit of dignity and go out to the SCG where I love. But I think the start of the series was a pretty tough time, and then going into Adelaide and then not being picked initially for that game was probably a sign for me to say, all right, it's time to move on. I did look at the schedule before the Ashes, and I thought, 20 games in a small period of time with a 6-month, 7-month break. I thought there's a few, I wouldn't say easier test matches, but, you know, test series that aren't as scrutinised as India or the Ashes, and I thought it's a good time for a transition to happen there anyway. So I was always looking forward, making sure that I left what I felt like was the right time for me, but it was also the right time for Australian cricket. I was very aware of that, which is why I got even more frustrated when I used to get attacked in the media. But I think, yeah, it probably solidified it at Adelaide Test match, even though I came back and scored runs. And batting number 5, no, batting number 4 in the middle order 5, it's nice, it's good fun, I'm not going to lie. I just knew whether I scored runs or not, that Test match didn't matter. And once I knew that, I was like, I'm 100% sure I'm ready to retire.
When did you tell your teammates, and how did they respond to the decision?
I told my teammates just then, literally just then. I've kept it. I told Andrew McDonald in Melbourne. So I've had it up my sleeve for a while. It's been tough, actually. I just wanted to tell everyone. So it was a hard time to tell everyone because everyone went for New Year's break, and it was like, well, everyone's partying now. So I told him just then. I didn't think I'd get emotional, but yeah, I teared up straight away, and I had to compose myself. Finally composed myself and got out what I wanted to say. So that was much harder to say than I ever imagined it would. I never thought I'd be the guy that cried when he retired. Yeah, I cried straight away. So it just shows you what it means to me. You know, I can talk about it a lot, but my journey has been different than a lot of the other cricketers in the Australian cricket team for a number of reasons. So I think all that emotion built up, and now they're finally saying that I'm retiring. Yeah, everyone's got to go through it, but it's never easy. No matter, even though I knew it was coming, it's still not easy to say out loud.
Congratulations, firstly. Can you talk us through, I guess, does it feel like a full circle moment coming from, I guess, that debut here that everyone talked about for so long, the 37, so to speak, and then firstly, that version of you, and then are you proudest of the resilience you've shown in the last 4 years, or I guess the number of times you were dropped and came back and you were able to, I guess, resurrect your career over the last 4 years?
Yeah, I mean, I thought my career was over. If I play, hopefully, inshallah, God willing, I'll play the SCG Test match. I'm fit and able to play, and that'll be 88 games. I literally went halfway. So I think I was 44 games at the mark when I came back into the side in 2021, and now I'm 88 games. It's the tale of two halves. I've definitely enjoyed the second half way more than the first half. Even though I played well in the first half, I was still averaging 40 in the first half, but the second half's been way better. I pay that respect to Rachel, my kids, my mum and dad, my best mate Adil, who's always been besides me right from the very start, who's here right now. It was a different perspective on life that helped me get through that. And I'm going to be honest, I was more mature. I had a closer relationship with Islam and God, which helped me through a lot of the times over the last 5 years where things were going well or whether they weren't. And I've obviously talked about them a lot, but that helped me extensively to just get through the ups and downs of this game, because this game is tough. It's the greatest humbler. You're up 1 second, you're up one series, and the next series you can't score a run. So I think resilience also is just, with that, it's just built over the years. I mean, I had to be resilient when I was younger too. I had a brother who was 7 years and 10 years older than me. He gave me nothing. I was told my whole career that I wouldn't play for Australia through my community and whatnot. I played for Australia, and then I tried to fit into an Australian team that I didn't quite fit into at the start. But I was lucky. By the time I came back in 2021, all the guys were matured, and these were all the guys that I played with and I loved playing with. So I've been through so many experiences in my life, so when I did get a few curveballs thrown at me in this last half of my career, I was able to handle it. And also I had Rachel to talk to. I'm not a guy who talks about his emotions very often. She's the only person I really, really talk to about my emotions, what I'm feeling. And that helped me a lot throughout, and just to help me to relax, get through the tough times, because before then they just build up in my head and I'd struggle to get away from them in a lot of respects. So I've always said one of the greatest blessings God's ever given me is bringing Rachel into my life, and then obviously having my mum right there besides her too, as the second person I talk to, it's helped me a lot.
We'll take two here.
Yes, the prevailing theme, Usman, from your announcement has been the word resilience. Can you I know you touched on it just then with Scott's question, but what was it like at the start? You touched on then being told you probably wouldn't be playing, and what, on the flip side, what did it mean to you then when you were accepted into this team, that it felt like home, you were actually part of the Australian cricket side?
It's a good question. Let's just strip it all the way back. I've always felt a little bit different, even to now. I'm a colour cricketer, and the Australian cricket team is, in my opinion, the greatest national. That's our best team. It's our national. It's our pride and joy. But I've also felt very different in a lot of respects. Different by the way I've been treated. Different for how things have happened. And I'll just go back. Something that's been on my mind probably from the start of the series that I noticed, which I thought I'd kind of gone past before, and it was when I did my back. I hurt my back. I had back spasms, and it was something I couldn't control. And the way I don't want to say you specifically, but the way the media and the past players came out and attacked me. I mean, I could have copped it for 2 days, but I copped it for about 5 days straight. And it wasn't even about my performances. It was about something very personal. It was about my preparation. And the way everyone came at me about my preparation, and it was quite personal in terms of, things like he's not committed to the team. He was only worried about himself. He played this golf comp the day before. He's selfish. He doesn't train hard enough. He didn't train the day before the game. He's lazy. These are the same stereotypes, the racial stereotypes I've grown up with my whole life. It's funny, Rachel was reading all this. She's the one who's told me that. She was blowing up. I remember being in the car next to her and I was just laughing. And then she got even more angry. She said, "Why are you laughing?" I was like, these are the same racial stereotypes I've been handling my whole life. I just thought that the media and the old players and everyone else had moved past them. But we obviously haven't fully moved past them, because I've never seen anyone being treated like that in the Australian cricket team before. For the performances, yeah, but not for the uncontrollables, the way you guys went at me. And, that was the thing that disappointed me the most, because I thought we were past that. But there's still a little bit out there which I still have to fight every single day, which is the frustrating thing for me. I can give you countless number of guys who've played golf the day before and been injured. You guys haven't said a thing. No one else said a thing. I can give you even more probably responsive guys who've had 15 schooners the night before and then gotten injured. No one said a word. That's all right. They're just being Aussie larrikins, right? They're just being lads. So for me, that was the frustrating part. But when I get injured, everyone went at my credibility and who I am as a person, rather than normally when someone gets injured, you feel sorry for them. You feel a little bit of remorse. Poor Josh Hazelwood or poor Nathan Lyon, he's gotten injured. We feel really sorry for him. We don't attack what happened to him. That was the thing that I was probably most sad about, and that's what I've been dealing with for a long time. I don't talk about it a lot, but I felt like I needed to talk about it right here, right now. And I kind of know why, I get nailed a lot of the times over the particularly last 2 years. I understand that I've talked about certain issues outside of cricket, which leaves me exposed, which a lot of people don't like. I still find it hard when I say, that everyone deserves freedom and that Palestinians deserve freedom and equal rights, why that is such a big issue. But I get it. I put myself out there. Even when we talk about Australian politics and, we get all these right-wing politicians that are anti-immigration and anti-Islamophobia, and I speak up against them. I know people don't love that, but I feel like I have to, because where these guys are trying to divide, create hate, and trying to create animosity in the Australian community, I'm doing the exact opposite. I'm trying to bring everyone together. I'm trying to bring inclusivity into Australia. I'm trying to say I'm the Australian Muslim from Pakistan, and I'm an Australian cricketer right in front of you who loves playing cricket, loves going out and doing everything that you do. If you talk about integrating into the country, I've got a white wife over there who I love and cherish, and I've got half Australian, half Pakistani kids. And so that is very frustrating to me at times. And I know what the older generation, I know what people say about me, stay in your spot. Don't speak about topics that you don't know, you're just a cricketer, do your things, whatnot. But, how do you think it makes me feel when people talk about immigration or they start attacking, Islam or Muslims for everything that's going on? I am an immigrant in Australia. I came here at the age of 5. It's personal. It is. When you start attacking my faith and my belief system, it is personal. So I'm going to speak about that, because not many athletes do, and I understand why they don't, because look what happened to me at the start of this series. I got absolutely nailed, and it wasn't that. Last year when the Sheffield Shield stuff happened, I was one of the few players that was playing Sheffield Shield, and you guys had a crack at me for missing a game. You had plenty of my teammates who were not playing. You didn't say a word to them. So for me, yeah, I've been dealing with this stuff a long time, and for me, it's not. I know I'm up here talking about topics and people are like, okay, Uzi's here, he's playing the race card again. I go, yeah. But don't gaslight me. Like, genuinely, Brat, how many times have I helped you in the last 2 years when you've been absolutely nailed by security? You've been harassed by them. At least 4 times, I reckon. I've helped you. Even in Perth this year, the security was on you. I was like, please leave him alone. This stuff happens all the time. Like, you just don't see it. I don't talk about it. Rachel sees it. We just don't talk about it. And then at the end of the day, I know people were trying to nail me and get me down, but you weren't part of my create, so you have no control of my fate. And that's only God that does that, and I respect that. So even though it hurt and it sucked, I hold no angst against anyone in this room or anyone who said anything to me. I'm a guy who just sees it, moves on, and I move past. But I felt that I had to bring this up. I didn't want to talk about this, but I just want the journey for the next Usman Khawaja to be different. I want you to treat him or her all the same, not have racial stereotypes of who they might be. Treat him with the same cloak that you would treat any of my wholesome other cricketers that I play with. And so for me, coming back to your question, yeah, it's been a different journey. And I noticed that more than ever, particularly at the start of this series, all the stuff going on. But I'll never stop being who I am. I'm an Australian. I love cricket, and I'll continue to be the person the best person I can be.
Ozzy, I guess a slight extension from that. In terms of cricket itself, do you think the sport is in a better place in terms of inclusivity than it was when you started?
100%. Absolutely. Yeah. It definitely is. There's still a bit to go, but the sport is in a better spot. There's still challenges because, I mean, if you look at Australia outside, if you go outside, it's such a multicultural community. If you look at the amount of participation we have in cricket, subcontinent players particularly, but we don't see that always in the Australian cricket team. And I get it. Australian cricket team's hard to make. There's 11 spots. It's not easy. And we don't want to just give people spots. We definitely have improved on that. But there's still an undertone here and there. There's still challenges to be faced. We can't just be like, oh, yeah, we fixed everything, everything's fine. It's not. But that's all right. You just got to accept that it's not fine. It'll probably never be 100% fine. That's very normal. But we got to try to get as close as to equality as we can. I think we're heading to that spot. It just takes time.
All right, we'll head over to the left, John.
Congratulations on your career. 16 Test centuries, many more great innings that didn't quite get there. Are there any that stand out when you look back over the course of your career? And also, we've seen some great celebrations from you. Do you have one more up the sleeve if you get another big score here?
You're getting a bit ahead of yourself, aren't you? Yeah. Honestly, most of the ones that the celebrations, they've come to me on the spot. I try not to think about them too much. I guess when I look back on it, there's probably a few. I look back Dubai. That Dubai one was one of my favourites. Got to share it with Rachie, and I go through so much tough times at the start of my career that I couldn't play spin in the subcontinent. I didn't feel like I was supported even from the coaching staff, and it's not having a crack at the coaching staff. I just didn't feel like I was supported, so I really struggled in the subcontinent. So to get that 90, I think I got in the first innings, and then 140, and I batted for 11 hours, literally the hottest day. I always used to laugh when Dino used to talk about his Madras story. But that Dubai ground I can't imagine Madras as any. That was like, oh my God, it was the hottest place. Concrete jungles, about 40 degrees, 80% humidity in Dubai at the time. It was relentless, and I just had to fight everything. And to be out there then, to make the reverse sweep, a part of Australian cricket, because before then it was not. You played the reverse sweep and you got out in Test cricket, you got crucified. So to do that and to actually show everyone that I could bat in those conditions, and then end up in the subcontinent to be one of the greatest players to be able to play in the subcontinent. I think I'm one of the top 5 run scorers in the subcontinent, and I have the highest average out of all the top 5 run scorers in the subcontinent. It's pretty special to be from where I was to a guy who can't play spin in the subcontinent to have the best average out of top 5 players to score most runs in the subcontinent is very special. And credit there to JL too. JL's the one guy who actually gave me hope and love at that time. He said, Uzi, go out there, I believe you. Smacked him against everyone. I've seen you play spin in Australia, you can do it. And I've always loved JL for that. I guess the Sydney Test match is the obvious one. I've talked about it a million times. SCG, we all thought it was over, Rach, and to be able to get another chance and to have a second half of my career, I truly believe that was divine intervention. I don't know how that happened. I wasn't even in the squad. Hetty got COVID. bizarre turn of events for that to happen. And then I think Edgbaston was pretty special too. The same thing. It always seems to be the ones where people, knock me down. And I was getting nailed. I don't score runs against in England, and all these things were coming, and it was a tough time. And I remember, as I've said in the Test documentary before, I talked to Rachel the night before, and then I think people forget, that Test match. I batted every single day of that Test match. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which in itself is a pretty cool career feat to have. And then we obviously remember Paddy and Lino's amazing partnership at the end. But in my heart, I always remember that. I carried the team for a lot of that batting innings, both in the first innings and the second innings, where I scored 70. And that was definitely one that stood out because, winning in a game like that was pretty special. They're just a few memories that I remember, yeah.
Do you have one, Luke?
Was just wondering how you think this team will replace you, like in terms of runs. I think you have the most since you came back to the team. And what are the difficulties like with being a top order player now compared to when you started?
Louis, I'm irreplaceable. Sorry, I couldn't help myself. You left the door open. It's never easy. It's not. And I said the same thing when Davey retired. It's not easy to replace experienced Test cricketers. You just have to be a little bit patient. I think we're seeing that right now with Weathers in some respect. He came and did really well. Now he's had a few innings that he missed out, and hopefully he'll get back on the horse and score runs again. But Test cricket's a different beast. It's the media. It's everything else. The cricket isn't too different. And I came through a period where I was in a transition. In 2010, we were a struggling Australian cricket team. We lost a lot of the greats. And we still had Punter and Putt, but they couldn't all do it themselves. So, yeah, 100%. I expect, myself going, Davey going. Eventually Smudge is going to go. Starkey's going to go. Paddy can't play. There's going to be a transition happening very soon. It'd be interesting to see how it plays out, but it's never easy. So I think you just need to be mindful of that moving forward and understand that. When Warney left, we were looking for a spinner for ages. We tried about 20 of them. We didn't know we had Nathan Lyon right there, but even Nathan Lyon's not Shane Warne. Warney's irreplaceable. So, yeah, you just have to be a little bit patient when these things happen, and cricket's a tough game, and, eventually Australia will always find their feet because with our Sheffield Shield system, I don't care what anyone says, it's very strong. Batting and bowling will always produce good cricketers. It's just about giving them enough time in Test cricket to be able to do that. I'll definitely keep playing the Big Bash, and at this moment, I plan to play Shield cricket.
You spoke about how you want it to be different for the next Usman Khawaja, or the young Usman Khawaja. I mean, you also spoken throughout your career about fitting in, and when you come here as an outsider, that's part of it, isn't it? Like to fit into this society. And cricket, as you go higher up, it still remains largely a white-dominated sport. So how challenging was it for you to fit in when you started, and at what point did you realize there's no point fitting in, you'll always be different?
I should ask you the same question. Look what you're wearing. And I like it. I can tell straight away that you've probably gone through a similar journey too in some respects, and just by the way you dress, you yourself. And that was the thing. The greatest thing that happened to me was I left New South Wales. I love New South Wales. I never forget where I came from. A lot of respect and love to New South Wales cricket for giving me, to be able to be here right now. I wouldn't be here without him. But I remember when I left New South Wales to start my own journey, kind of on my own, fresh start in Queensland, was where it kind of started for me. Because up to that point, at the age of 25, I tried so hard to fit into the Australian cricket team. I was trying to dress like all the boys. I mean, I was going out with them, like, to the clubs, even though I didn't drink. But I just wanted to be a part. I tried my best, but it was never the same because they'd be out till all hours of the morning, and I'd be cooked by 1 a.m., When I drink, I'm sleepy. I want to go to sleep. So I tried all that, and it just didn't work. And I still kept getting dropped from the Australian cricket team. So I was like, I'm trying all this. I'm doing all this thing. But I get it. My name isn't John Smith. When the 50-50 calls happen, they're just not going my way. Or I don't. And I felt that, and I was like, well, why am I trying to be like everyone else? I just got to be like myself. Because even when I'm trying to be like everyone else, I'm still getting dropped. So when I went to Queensland, I just 100% there. I was Uzi. It irked a few of the players at the time, not in a bad way, but they used to try to stir me up. But I was just like, no, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do my top button up. I'm going to play the way I want. I'm going to dress the way I want. I'm going to listen to music what I want. That was the big one for me. And then when I started doing that, even in cricket itself, things started to change. I started to play better. I could let go a little bit more. It was the same time where, I went back to the Australian cricket team and got dropped again. Also in my head, I said, I'm never going to find happiness purely from the Australian cricket team. I'm going to find happiness away from the game. And when I started doing that, and I started genuinely trying to do that, results started getting a lot better too. So it wasn't just like, it was that one single point, but it took a long time to get to that point. And now when I get back in the team, if I'm going to get into the team, if I'm going to get dropped or anything going to happen, I'm going to be me. I'm going to be Uzi. And I feel like people have seen that over, at least over the last 5 years. I haven't been anyone but myself. As I talked about earlier, I put myself out in all sorts of situations. I've spoken my mind about things I thought were important. I think, God's given me this platform to speak up, and that's why I do it. I say God a lot, but there's a purpose. I said Allah today on purpose. Where we're at today, Islamophobia is still very rife, and I still speak about it. And Allah just means God in Arabic. I find it funny when people start, saying this and that to Allah, this and that. I'm like, if you go to a Christian person in Saudi Arabia, when you ask them what God is, they're going to say Allah. That's all it means. It just means God in Arabic. So if you're spraying Allah, you're just spraying God. So I try to break down these barriers for people. I try to speak my mind, try to show them all these things, and they all come from me being myself and being proud of where I am. Because I wasn't proud of who I was a long time. When I was younger, because my parents lived in Saudi Arabia for a while, people asked me where I'm from, and I was too embarrassed to say Pakistan because we were curry munchers. So I'd say Saudi Arabia, just so people, no one knew what Saudi Arabia was back in the 90s, trust me. It was only after in 2000s they knew what Saudi Arabia was. Before then, I was like, oh, okay, right. They had no sledges for Saudi Arabia, so I was good. And for that part, it's been a long, progressive journey. It's not an easy one because there's plenty of people who still want to knock you down. But I want to live and be proud of the way I lived and be true to the way I live. And that is more important than anything else, more important than wealth, fame, fortune. That to me is the thing that when I look back, and when I look back on my career, those are the stuff that I'll be most proud of. I was true to myself.
Cricket question, Ozzy. How did you see your role as an opener? And do you think that cricket still expects people to play that role, or has cricket moved on?
No, opening role is I'm telling you, it's still the toughest role there is, by far. It's not just tough on the field, it's tough in the brain. It's like you wake up in the morning and you don't know if you're going to be batting or fielding, but either way, you're going to be on the field. So you're literally switched on for like 4 hours before the game. It's just, you have to be. And I can say that because I batted everywhere. Now I'm batting 5. How nice, get to finish my career batting 5. What a dream. And it doesn't mean I'm going to score runs, but it's like you wake up in the morning, I'm a bit more relaxed. I can sip my latte and I'm like, the openers will go out first and I'll come in later. So there is a mental element to opening, which people, unless you've opened, you can't relate to it. And even when you're 8 down at the end of the day, and you're like, oh, am I going to bat? How many overs am I going to bat for here? If we get 2 wickets now, I'm going to bat for 30 minutes. Like there's this and it's a tough time to bat. There's this whole mental, and there's a reason why openers, there's been outliers like Haydos or Sehwag, but majority of the best openers average somewhere between 40 and 45. The best openers. That's always been the case. And the guys average past 45 up and above, they usually bat in the middle order. 4-5 is pretty high because it can get a lot of not outs too. So I totally respect the role of an opener. It doesn't mean that you don't know who can open. Sometimes openers come out of nowhere. Some people can deal with them better than others, but until you actually go and do it, it's hard to know who can actually, get used to that. So it's a good question because, I think the hardest thing about opening is not opening for a few games, it's opening for a year, opening for 2 years, because the grind doesn't take effect. It's cumulative. It takes effect a bit later. I came in and I opened for first spin. I was like, sweet, yeah, that's all right. it wasn't like a couple of years after I was like, "Oh, opening's tough." Like I'm mentally just drained from like always just thinking about opening. I have to face a new ball. I have to do all this hard work, and sometimes I just nick off when I get 20, and I'm like, and then a spinner comes on when I get out, and I'm like pulling my hair out. I'm like, I missed out on facing the spinner. Did all this hard work for 2 hours. So that's the tough stuff at opening. So I would never judge an opener purely based on a few games. Whether even right now, whether it's Jake or Hetty, it's like you judge them over a year or two, because that's when you really see whether these guys are fit for opening, because it's the mental disintegration that happens over a long period of time, which makes it really tough. Which is why I have so much respect for Davey, my good mate Bull, for doing it for such a long time and doing it so well, particularly on wickets. You know, at the moment, like in the last 5 years, we've had some pretty tough grassy wickets, even in Australia.
Post playing, what do you want to do apart from, I suppose, time with Rachel, the kids, playing golf? Do you want to get into cricket administration? What's in your head?
I don't know. Aisha, what do you want? You want to play golf with Dada? Get in the golf cart? No! Yeah, you love golf, B. Yeah. No, I had two things. I've thought about it for the last few years. There's two things that I really want to do after my career, and it's nothing specific. It's one, I want to do things that I enjoy doing, not for the sake of money or anything else external. I want to do it because I enjoy it. And two, I want to be able to give back in any respect. I mean, my 40 years, I've played cricket, and you have to be very selfish to be an athlete and to be successful in any role, to be honest. If you want to be the best, you have to be a little bit selfish. And I've done a lot for myself. I've tried to give as much as I can during that time, but I don't want to do anything now for the rest of my life unless some way, shape and form, it revolves around helping other people and those who need it, more needy, helping friends, helping family, just other people than just myself. That stems from me being a Muslim in Islam and what's really close to my heart and what God expects of me. But those are the two things that I want to drive my life moving forward. And yeah, I'm obviously contracted to Fox Sports, so I'll do a bit of commentary, and then I haven't been able to say what I want in the last, 15 years because I'm a player and I have to worry about everyone else. But I'm off the leash now, guys. So I look forward to that. And then easy call. We're good. We're good. And then I think even along that, cricket administration role, not at the moment. Just chill, play a little golf, a little commentary, spend time with my family, just enjoy the things that I haven't been able to do for a while. And then the rest, we'll see what happens.
Usman, just with some of the tragic events that have happened in Sydney recently, and then you talking about your experience through your career and life in Australia, do you have any thoughts on how the country really can unite going forward?
Honestly, it's pretty much what I've been saying all along. We're all humans. We're all equal. What I said in my initial speech with my dad, something that my dad and religion always instilled. Like even if you look at the past, even the last sermon, the last speech of our great Prophet Muhammad, he specifically said, no Arab is greater than any other Arab. No person is greater than any other person, whether you're black or white. And that's the same way I live my life. I think everyone is equal. I don't care what religion, race, sexual orientation you are. I've got friends of all different faiths. I've got Jewish friends, I've got Christian friends, I've got Muslim friends, I've got Hindu friends, I've got friends from India, Pakistan, Europe, all around the world. I've never treated... I ask anyone to come forward and say that I've treated them any differently because of what their personal beliefs are, or anything that's personal to them. And I think that's where we've got to stand in Australia. I think that's what brings people together. Hence why I speak up against certain politicians when they try to divide and conquer and bring hate and animosity into the country. I say, look, we're all the same. We're no different. Whether I play cricket for Australia, whether you have $1 billion, we all go to sleep at night. We all eat. And that for me is the greatest thing. And what happened in Bondi was absolutely tragic. And, I've always, I was one of the first people to... it doesn't matter who you are, death of anyone hurts, but I've always been the first person to try to separate that. For me, it's really important on a political sense, whether you're Muslim or Jewish, it's like it's irrelevant to me, both those things, but we have to split political ideologies from religion. This is why I speak up for Palestine. I don't believe that Israel speaks up for Jewish people, just as I don't believe that Saudi Arabia or ISIS speaks for Muslim people. I'm not going to let a right-wing extremist political organisation speak for a religion. That's not right. Like, they don't speak for me. It's the same thing. And so it does frustrate me when I do see certain things and certain people try to mix those two. And at the end of the day, at the crux, I say, it doesn't matter who dies here or who dies there. That life is equal to that life. And to see what happened in Bondi was tragic. And, you know, I'll be the first anyone that says that, you know, acts like that are abominable and they should never happen. And I really feel sorry for the families that have had to deal with that. Hopefully they find some peace in the afterlife.
Usman, you mentioned that if you had been called John Smith earlier in your career, perhaps you would have been treated differently. Where are we on the journey now within Australian cricket for a young Usman Khawaja into the setup looking to follow his dreams? Would it still be a challenge?
Still a challenge. And that's why I said, I gave my long spiel earlier about how I felt I was treated at the start when I did my back. It wasn't specifically the media itself. Now the social media is so big, everyone had their say and everyone was sort of piling in. But once the racial stereotypes of me being lazy, the things I've done with my whole life, lazy, you know, Pakistani, West Indian players, coloured players, we're selfish, we only care about ourselves, we don't, you know, we do things, we don't care about the team, we don't train hard enough. All these things came back and made me realise that we're not still quite there. So the journey is definitely harder. What I'm hoping is the journey for the next Usman Khawaja is a little bit easier. The next Usman Khawaja is a little bit easier. And then we get to a line where the journey for, you know, how many generations, that Usman Khawaja is the same as John Smith. If we can get to that point, that is what I've always been trying to champion the whole time. And that's what I've been trying to achieve with Cricket Australia behind the scenes. That's always going to be a challenge. And, I mean, ideally that's where we like to be, but we're not quite there yet, but we're a lot better than we were 15 years ago, trust me. The 20 years, being Western Sydney boy in the 90s, whew, I heard some stuff. I can't say it here, but yeah, I copped a lot of racial vilification during that time, and yeah, I feel like we're a lot better inclusive as a society now than we've been before, but there's still a little bit way to go because Australian cricket is still very white in a lot of respects. But that's not a bad thing. We just have to accept that and say, all right, how do we make it more inclusive? That's what you have to do. And then you just try to work towards it. And it might take time, but as long as you're working towards it, I mean, you can't really do much more than that.
Usman, you would obviously be aware of a lot of the things that have happened about racial discrimination accusations in England and English cricket. And you've sort of said similar things to what other players have said over there. It doesn't feel like there's been the same kind of reckoning in Australia that there has been very far-reaching one in England. Why do you think that is? Do you think there should be sort of a bit more of one here, or do you think it's better the way things are going here now?
Nice curveball you throw me at the end there. There's a nice one. I can't speak for England because I've been there a few times playing county cricket. Honestly, I'm not entirely sure. For me, it's never about finger pointing. It's always about how we're going to try to be better. Because you can look at the past and finger point at lots of people. But is that really going to help us? I don't think so. So I've seen what's happened in England and things that happen over there. Like anything, it's about bringing people together. I think that's more important. I think that's a better way to do it. So if we're moving forward and trying to do this, I think as Australia, I think we can do it better. I think we can do it together. I think we can accept our past, learn from it, and then move forward and try to be better than what we were in the past. So, yeah, I can't comment. It's a pretty complicated question, but I think if I'm thinking about it, that's how I feel like we should move forward.
Fairy tales in sport, but the stage is set for you, I guess, to say farewell to the SCG. How significant is it for you to be able to close a career here in Sydney?
No, significant. As I said, I grew up literally up the road, stone's throw away, on Cook Road. Paddington Public was my first primary school. we couldn't afford tickets to come down at the SCG when I was younger, so I used to wait till the end when they opened the gates. I watched cricket. I love cricket. SCG holds such a special place in my heart. I think the fairy tale's already done. I don't think it matters how many runs I score. And as I said, in Adelaide, I scored runs. We won the game and it was great, but it didn't make a difference. I was just happy we won the game. So obviously I'd love to win the game, but the fairy tale's signed, sealed and delivered for me. I think the fairy tale was playing at CG, getting the 200s and then having another second half of my career and being able to play by the age of 39. I think that's the fairy tale. And to be able to experience it with all my teammates and my family and Rachel and have 2 beautiful kids and another one along the way. I think the fairy tale is very well and done. So, but to be able to do it, the SCG, in front of my parents, my family, my friends, it's a nice full circle because I debuted here. I came back at SCG 2021, got back in the team, and then I get to finish, God willing, my career here in a few days, and it's just a nice synergy. And it's one of the reasons why, I could have kept playing. I know if I said to Andrew McDonald that I want to keep going, that he would be like, cool, and I would have been a part of the test team in a few months' time, that the top end tour, and then South Africa, trying to make it. But I'm very happy that I get to leave on my own terms at the SCG. It's nostalgic, it's special. I look forward to it. Really fun.
Usman, you mentioned that commentary from the past players, and this one with you directed or spoke to them directly about some of that, and is it something that you'll be conscious of now moving into being a past player of the commentary, I guess, you'll provide?
I'd like to think so. It's funny. I'm actually glad things happened the way they did in the last month or two with this series being downer. I actually got to see, who the people, what people were my true friends and what weren't in a lot of respects. I think you can navigate around the media in different ways, and there's a lot of people who I thought I had my back, and I'm not sure they do. That's fine. I don't hold grudges, but it was nice to see that. And I know from a fact that when I go into the media role that I'm going to do my utmost best to provide clarity and a bit of nuance to what I'm saying, because I have been in the Australian cricket team for so long. I actually know what's going on behind the change rooms right now, more so than a lot of the past players. Like, they understand cricket, don't get me wrong, but it's hard to know because the game keeps constantly evolving. So I do feel like I'll be able to provide a bit more insight. And I'll always remember, I will never forget how hard this game is. I'll make sure, Rachel, just make sure you remember, you remind me how hard this game was. If I ever get to that stage, I never want to be in a stage where I forget that and go too far the other way, critique players, because it can happen. It can happen. The game gets easier. Trust me, when I've been injured a couple of times, like, why is this person doing this? But you forget how hard the game was. And I think Mike Hussey has been great at that. He's obviously one of my good mates, and he's been very supportive, and he's always been great at finding a middle ground and showing both sides of the story. And I'll probably try to do the best as I can, because I find it odd that a lot of people, particularly past players, were like, Uzi should retire, Uzi should do this, or Uzi should do that. And I'm like, I don't get, what's this got to do with you? Why do you have a concern about when I should retire? So I'll definitely keep some of those things in my mind. I'll remember how I felt when certain people were saying certain things. But it won't stop me from being very open and honest. I just think how I structure that will be a little bit different.
When it's all said and done, how do you just want to be better?
Honestly, just as a good person, as a good human, as a good father, as a good son. Maybe easy on the eye to watch when I'm batting. I think there's no greater compliment I get when people come up to me and say, I love watching you bat. Even though I might not have got as many runs as Steve Smith or Joe Root or any of them, but cricket's an entertainment game. So when and I'm very grateful, a lot of people come up to me and say, I love watching you bat. I love the way you went about it. I love how rhythmic you were. I think that's probably the greatest compliment that I could get as a cricketer. But, as much as I joke about it, I call myself the people's champ. They're not I never call myself the people's champ because I thought everyone loves me. It's more because I actually feel like I'm the people's champ because of what we talked about today. I do speak about things for the people that other people don't want to speak about. But, deep down inside, You know, even Rachel will tell you when I'm at home, I never speak about cricket. I'll never go out of my way ever to speak about anything I've achieved in the past. I try to keep that humility as much as I can because I do believe we're all equal. So I just want to be remembered as a humble cricketer who went out there and entertained and people enjoyed watching and, yeah, hopefully enjoy commentating in the future.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Well, there you go, Usman Khawaja announcing his retirement from all international cricket. The 39-year-old thanking his family for their support throughout his career, his parents, wife Rachel and kids as well. Beautiful pictures there. He also called out racial stereotyping, though, and the uphill battle that he's faced throughout his career, highlighting the work that still needs to be done. He only told his teammates of his decision to retire this morning. They're going to be out on the pitch and now getting prepared for the 5th test. It's going to be a fitting farewell, the Sydney Test, his home ground at the SCG, which will be his 88th and final test for Australia.